Pro Football Focus analyst Anthony Triesche went through and regraded the 2019 NFL draft. And in that draft, the Minnesota Vikings took from North Carolina State center Garrett Bradbury, the Grim Reacher. All now time has come. Phenomenal. Loved him getting second level. Great in the run game. He's awesome. And even though Bradbury has had his shares of ups and downs, I think Vikings fans generally see him as a major piece of that finally revamped Vikings offensive line. He's perfect for schematically what they want to do up front. And yes, there is trade-offs. Like, oh, well, he does get overpowered at times in one-on-one situations against man-sized nose tackles, but strength is the easiest thing to add in the National Football League. But it's like, well, why can't we just get a center that's really good in one-on-one spots against nose tackles and could move to the second level like a gazelle? All right, well, when you find a unicorn, let me know. As soon as we get like a 350-pound center who can stand his ground in one-on-one spots and not lose ground in the line of scrimmage, you're going to complain, how come he can't get out on screens? How come we're not pulling him? But PFF had some choice thoughts on Garrett Bradbury. So Trash wrote this quote: Bradbury's pass protection has been borderline liability for Minnesota over the past couple of years. Among 41 centers to play at least 500 snaps in pass protection in their first two seasons in the NFL, Bradbury ranks dead last in pass blocking grade by nearly 6 rating points, 36.3. Since being drafted, he has allowed a league worst 5.2% pressure rate. Considering the low success of interior offensive linemen in the first round, as well as the sample we have on Bradbury through the first 2 years, things aren't looking great for this selection. Regrade. Poor. Yeah. So yes, pass protection with Bradbury has been iffy. Of course, that doesn't really factor in guards around him. So 2019, Josh Klein on his right, but Pat Elflein on his left, who was And who subbed in when both those guys got injured at times? Dakota Dozier. 2020, Dakota Dozier, your full-time left guard, and then you had that gong show where Pat Elflein was just handed the right guard job, and then Drew Samia came in as one of the worst guards in National Football League history, and then Ezra Cleveland, who's had his highs but had some lows because he is a rookie and changing positions and changing sides of the offensive line as well. I mean, good guards can make a bad center look average, but bad guards can make a good center look terrible, and doesn't factor in their vacuum ratings and vacuum grades. Like, oh, is this specifically him? Is this a miscommunication? Is this a breakdown? Is Bradbury out of position here because he had to overcompensate for one of the guards being terrible? Also doesn't factor in run blocking. Like, that only talk about his pass blocking, which, yes, but run blocking, by far his best aspect coming in the 2019 draft, and has panned out for the first 2 seasons. Like the Grim Reacher in outside zone. Whew. Let's go. That's why you drafted him. He has PFF run blocking grades of 69.3 in 2020, which is the 11th best center in the National Football League, ahead of second-team All-Pro Ryan Kelly of the Colts. And that's not my bias. That is literally PFF's numbers, right? So they completely ignore that. Plus, it doesn't factor in his leadership, as well as calling protections at the line of scrimmage, which are both big intangibles, especially for being a center. Vikings' breakdown of protections this year were largely not because of free rushers on blown assignments or bad calls or not picking up blitzes when you see coming, but they were getting beat in one-on-one spots or Dozier getting fooled by stunts. So even though that's not ideal, that's an execution problem. It's easier to fix than a planning problem. Like, if the Vikings were completely getting fooled every single time at the line of scrimmage on third down blitzes, that would be one thing. Then yes, completely overhaul it. But if you're just getting beat one-on-one, I mean, you can fix that. Like, if you can't execute a good plan, you're out. But if you have a good plan but need to work on execution, that's coachable. You can certainly work on that. And the main problem with Bradbury, and the reason for his 29 pressures, a lot of 5 sacks this season, is that anchor. And we knew that coming in. We knew that was going to be the trade-off, where you have the Grim Reacher, a guy who's phenomenal, getting second level, getting out on screens. You love the lateral mobility, but you knew that in one-on-one spots, it was going to be tough for him to hold his ground early on. And we saw that week 1, 2019, first game of his rookie career, Grady Jarrett of the Falcons just ate his lunch. But you saw as a rookie, he progressed. He got better every single week, and towards the end of the season was looking like a competent center. I think that did have some carryover in 2020. I think that he certainly did struggle, but so the entire Vikings interior offensive line. And he simply just has to get stronger in one-on-one spots. And if he consistently needs help, that's going to open up gaps that defense coordinators will exploit. So squats, we're talking about cleans, we're talking about the new Viking strength coach, we're talking about 6,000 clean calories a day. Boring. Boring. Chicken and breast and brown rice and broccoli. Let's go. Let's go, Bradbury. So I do think that Garrett Bradbury is going to make a big leap in year 3 because everything that he's deficient at is fixable. All the other stuff that you're concerned about with the center, getting the team in the right protection, I mean, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Plus, he does seem to be emerging as a leader on that offensive line, which is great. It's something that you do want from your center. Now, do I think the Vikings could potentially bring in some offensive line depth, some interior offensive line depth that can play center as well? Say Landon Dickerson from Alabama or Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma. Like, I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be. Or potentially Kyle Hinton, who had been working at center in 2020 training camp. Kubiak talked about that. Could that be in the mix? Right? So I think it is smart to have contingency plans and depth, but I'm not ready to sell out on Bradbury yet. Like, I'm not ready to say that he's a bust. Now, if we see similar problems in year 3, then we can have that conversation. Then we'd be like, all right, we absolutely love Garrett Bradbury. He's a heady center. He does remind us of a modern-day Jonathan Sullivan. But Sully, who was an undersized center coming in as well, great movement skills. But eventually, he got past working and getting overpowered in those one-on-one spots. He got past that. He became an extremely good pass-blocking center as well. So, I mean, if Bradbury is still stuck at this spot year 3, then yes, we can talk about it. But nah, give me some Grim Reacher, man. I still got the faith. Keeps Go alive. That's right. But your thoughts, Garrett Bradbury, PFF, trashed him. Woo! Woo! Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Must support that work. Post on the Venmo. But till next time, Skull, production value.